हाँ चल बोले 30 गले. Yes, waiting none. Fantastic. हेलो ऑल. सो अभी हम लोग इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट्स डिस्कस करेंगे फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ द इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट ये चैप्टर पे. खाना हो गया आपका? हाय नितिन, हाय नीता. हाय साक्षी. हेलो. I have taken 2 chapters. एक मैंने लिया है the first war of independence and second the growth of nationalism. I've covered all the important points of it. Now this is the third lecture. Hi Prasanna. So shall we start? Okay. The history of the Indian national movement can be broadly divided into 3 phases. First is the early national phase from 1885 to 1907. Second is the assertive nationalist phase from 1907 to 1916. And third is the Gandhian era from 1915 to 1947. Prasanna, you want to know my name, why? Hi smart girl. Prasanna, my name is Nita. Smart girl, Prasanna, you had your dinner? Hi Gauri. Glad to see you all right now. Anagha ma'am told me that she told you to come at 9:30 and I'm seeing that many of you have joined. You had your dinner or not? Hi Mohammed Tala. Okay. So shall we start now? Start करें? So one thing I will tell you कि I have not prepared any PPT because I didn't get time for it. So please bear with me. I will read from the notes which I have made and just be with me till the end. Okay? I'm sorry for that. Okay, so the introduction. The history of the Indian national movement can broadly be divided into three phases, right? So first is the early nationalist phase, from 1885 to 1907. The second is the assertive nationalist phase, which is from 1907 to 1916. And third is the Gandhian era, which is from 1950 to 1947. So first, chapter at a glance, the characteristics. Members were professionals like lawyers, barristers, teachers, and government officials. They were educated middle-class Indians. They believed that British intended to be just and fair to Indians, but they were unaware of the true state of affairs in India. Talking about the leaders, W.C. Banerjee, Raj Bihari Ghosh, Surendranath Banerjee, and R.C. Dutt from Bengal, Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta, and Justice Ranade from Maharashtra and Gujarat, P.R. Naidu, Subramania Iyer, and Anand Charlu from Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya from Uttar Pradesh, liberal Englishmen like Hume and Wedderburn. Now coming to the belief of the early nationalists. The early nationalists had faith in the sense of justice, fair play, honest and integrity of the British. It was their hope that the British would grant home rule to Indians. They believed that the British rule had many benefits. For example, it aided in cleansing social evils like sati, untouchability, and child marriage. They were of the opinion that Britain would help Indians govern themselves according to Western standards. They relied on constitutional and peaceful methods to achieve their aims. They believed in patience and reconciliation rather than in violence and confrontation. Now coming to the demands of the early nationalists. The early nationalists wanted a large share in the government of the country, that is self-government. They did not ask for immediate fulfillment of their goal as they feared that the government would suppress their activities. They therefore aimed at winning freedom through a gradual progress. They made the following demands. They made a demand for Swarajya or self-government within the British Empire. They demanded adequate representation of Indians in the Executive Council of the Viceroy and those of the governors. They emphasized on reduction in land revenue and expenditure on army and protection of peasants. They wanted the development of banking, irrigation, industries, medical and health facilities, etc. They demanded total abolition of salt tax and the duty on sugar. They also demanded for Indianization of services through simultaneous Indian civil service examinations in England and India. They believed in complete separation of the executive and the judiciary and repeal of the Arms Act and License Act. They wanted wider employment of Indians in the higher grades of administrative services. They believed in the spread of primary education. Now coming to the methods of the early nationalists. The method was popularly known as 3Ps or constitutional agitation method, within the legal framework and slow disciplined progress. The first set of method was they held meetings, made speeches and resolutions, and popular demands were passed. They made use of the press to carry out a criticism of the government policies. They sent memorandums and petitions to government officials and the British Parliament. Though these petitions were addressed to the government, the real aim was to educate the Indian people. The second set of method, they made use of the three P's, that is, petitions, prayers, and protests. A British committee of the Indian National Congress was set up in London in 1889, which published a weekly journal, India, to present India's case before the British public. Deputations of Indian leaders were sent to Britain who carried on active propaganda in Britain to create awareness among British people and politicians about the plight of Indians. Coming to the achievements of the early nationalists, the early nationalists created national awakening among people that they belonged to one common country, that is India. This made Indians conscious of the bonds of common political, economic, and cultural interests that united them. The early nationalists trained people in politics by popularizing the ideas of democracy, civil liberties, secularism, and nationalism. The early nationalists did pioneering work by exposing the true nature of the British rule in India, thus weakening the foundation of the British rule in India. Their political and economic programs established the truth that India must be ruled in the interest of the Indians. The efforts of the early nationalists led to the following reforms. A. The appointment of a Public Service Commission in 1886. B. A resolution of the House of Commons 1893 for simultaneous examination for the ICS in London and India. C. Appointment of the Welby Commission on Indian Expenditure 1895 and D. The Indian Councils Act of 1892. These achievements of the early nationalists served as a base for the national movement in later years. Hi Sangeeta Soni. Coming to the official attitude towards Congress. In the beginning, the British government looked upon the Congress movement with favor. A few government officials attended the first session of the Congress and took part in its deliberations. But the official attitude soon changed. Lord Dufferin suggested to Hume that the Congress should devote itself to social rather than political affairs. The Congress gradually became the focus of Indian nationalism. In 1890, the government employees were forbidden from participating in Congress deliberations or attending its meetings. Realizing the growing unity of the Indians, the British pushed further the policy of divide and rule. They sowed seeds of communalism between the Hindus and the Muslims. Now coming to the main points, that is prominent early nationalist leaders. First was Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji was popularly known as the Grand Old Man of India. He worked as a professor of mathematics in Elphinstone College. He edited the newspaper Ras Goftar, that is, Speaker of Truth. He started a magazine, Dharma Margdarshak. He started movements against Vernacular Press Act and the atrocious treatment of poor peasants by zamindars. Coming to his contributions, he was India's unofficial ambassador. During his stay in England, Dadabhai was looked upon as India's unofficial ambassador, fighting for the cause of his country. In 1865, he founded the London India Society in collaboration with W.C. Banerjee to publicize grievances of Indians. He was the first Indian to become the member of the British House of Commons in England, and he brought to the notice of the House important matters related to India. He was in favor of appointing educated Indians to high posts, and it was due to his efforts that House of Commons passed a resolution in favor of holding the ICS that is Indian Civil Service examination in England and India simultaneously. In 1816, he founded the East India Association in London. Coming to his role in the Congress, Dadabhai's role in the Congress was praiseworthy. He took an active part in the foundation of the Indian National Congress and was elected its president thrice. Resolutions on self-government, boycott, Swadeshi, and national education, four-fold program, were passed by the Congress under his presidency. The credit for demanding Swaraj from the Congress platform for the first time, that is 1906, goes to him. In his presidential address, he said that the Congress wanted self-government or Swaraj like that of the United Kingdom or the colonies. He exposed the economic ills of India. As an economic thinker, he came to the conclusion that the root cause for the economic ills of India was the exploitation of India by the British. Dadabhai's views on Indian economy are given in his work entitled Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. His famous drain theory explained how India's wealth was being drained to England through various ways. Now talking about the second great personality, that is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was born at Kolhapur in Maharashtra. He was a professor of history and economics at Fergusson College in Pune. He was influenced by the ideals of Justice M.G. Ranade and he joined the Deccan Education Society founded by Justice Ranade. He was awarded the title of CIE, that is Companion of the Indian Empire. Gokhale became the most popular leader of the Indian National Congress. Coming to his contributions, first, he persuaded the British for reforms. Gokhale favored the use of constitutional means to achieve his goals. He opposed the policies of the British government whenever necessary. He criticized the government on issues such as incurring huge expenditure on the British Army, adopting the policy of racial discrimination, and imposing production tax on cotton. He made a strong plea for the reform of the legislative councils and separation of judiciary from the executive. He played an important role in the passage of Minto-Morley reforms, and he also served as a member of the Indian Public Service Commission and urged it to increase the share of Indians in higher services. Gokhale set up the Servants of Indian Society, with the main aim of the society being to train national leaders who would dedicate themselves to the service of India. Coming to role as a member of Imperial Legislative Council. As a member of the Imperial Legislative Council, he pleaded in the Council of reduction in sword duty and the abolition of excise duty on cotton goods. His relentless efforts led to reduction in toll tax. He tried to introduce a bill with a view to make primary education compulsory. Being an economist, he demanded radical changes in the fiscal policy and better jobs for the educated middle class. He impressed upon the government to reduce the land revenue. The credit of persuading Gandhiji to return to India and join Indian public life also goes to Gokhale. In fact, Gandhiji accepted Gokhale as his political mentor. Now talking about Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee was a nationalist leader, popular journalist, and dedicated educationalist. He was the first Indian to qualify for Indian Civil Service examination. Surendranath began his career as a professor of English at the Metropolitan College. He set up his own school which later developed into Ripon College. Coming to his contributions, to fight against the wrong policies of the British, he founded the India Association in 1876. Its aims were to educate the people, to create strong public opinion in the country, and to arouse political consciousness and unity. Second contribution was he created an all-India political organization. Surendranath convened the Indian National Conferences in 1883, which merged with the Indian National Congress in 1886, as both organizations had similar objectives. Banerjee edited a newspaper, Bengali, which served as a powerful medium for mobilizing public opinion. His book, Nation in the Making, gives an account of his political concern and his views about self-government. Banerjee started agitation against the License Act, Arms Act, Vernacular Press Act, and against lowering the age from 21 to 19 years to appear the ICSE examination. He opposed the parliamentary reforms of 1909, which introduced separate electorates for the Hindus and the Muslims. He also opposed the division of Bengal by Lord Curzon in 1905. Banerjee is popularly known as the father of Indian nationalism, and he breathed his last in 1925. Coming to the question answers part. Okay, chalo. Name the sections into which the Congress was divided from its very inception. This is a very easy answer. Yes, you're right, Manas Sangeeta. The Congress was divided from its very inception into two sections, the early nationalist and the assertive nationalist. Question 2. During which period did the early nationalists dominate the Congress? Right, Mohammed Tala, right, smart girl. The early nationalists dominated the Congress from 1885 to 1905. Coming to question 3. Name any two important leaders of the early nationalists. The main leaders were Dadabhai Naoroji, yes, Surendranath Banerjee, Gomesh Chandra Banerjee, Firoz Shah Mehta, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale. We can write any of. I know it's MCQs, but I had these questions, and if you prepare for this, you can surely answer the MCQs. Coming to question number 4, what did the early nationalists advocate in the field of civil rights? Yes, the early nationalists opposed the restrictions imposed by the government on the freedom of speech, press, thought, and association. Correct, smart girl? Question number 6. Who started the East India Association in 1866? Okay, I'll repeat the question. Who started the East India Association in 1866? Yes, mad girl. No, you're wrong, dear. Dadabhai Naoroji started the East India Association in 1866. Coming to the next question. What was the political objective of the early nationalists? I'm saying early nationalists. The answer is the political objective of the early nationalists was to attain Swaraj through constitutional means. Yes, Madgal, I'm receiving the responses very late. There is a lag, it seems. I don't know. But you keep on answering and you check the answers. I'm I'm answering the questions also. If it's correct, very good. And if it's not, you will do well. Don't worry. Tomorrow you have MCQ sessions, right? Coming to the next question. What was the main aim of the East India Association? The answer is the main aim of the association was to foster closer relations between the Indians and the British on social level. Next question. What did Gokhale do for the welfare of the farming community in India? Having a knowledge of the country's economy, Gokhale blamed the British for India's poverty. He impressed upon the government to reduce the land revenue and also to repeal the production tax on cotton, as both of this affected the farming community in India. Next question. State any two of the policies of the imperial regime which was opposed by Gokhale. The answer is he opposed the policies of the imperial regime whenever he found them to be defective. First, he opposed the toll tax because it was a burden on the poor, and second, he criticized the British for adopting a policy of racial discrimination and appointments to high posts, imposing production tax on cotton, etc. Hi Amit. Smart girl, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. So now answer me this question. Name the first Indian who passed the Indian Civil Service examination. Chalo, answer. I repeat, name the first Indian who passed the Indian Civil Service examination. Smart girl, do you think it's Dadabhai Nauroji? What about Amit? Okay, the answer is Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee was the first Indian to pass the Indian Civil Service examination. Yes, you're correct, smart girl now. Okay, tell me any two acts against which Surendranath Banerjee protested. I repeat myself. Mention any two acts against which Surendranath Banerjee protested. Yes, smart girl, you guessed it correct. Hi, Amit. Shall I answer this? Okay, I'll give the answer. The Vernacular Press Act and the Arms Act were the two acts against which Surendranath Banerjee protested. Yes, Amit. Yes, correct, smart girl. Correct. Anyone has any doubt? Yes, Amit, you may. I guess no one is answering. I hope. Yes, Mad Girl, you responded, but I received it very late. There is a lag. I hope you liked the session. I will be conducting the important point sessions for the rest of the chapters as well. Please do come for it. It will be very helpful. From tomorrow, we will be having MCQ sessions. I think one session is done today and you'll be doing the rest tomorrow. If you like the session, please give it a like and share it with your friends so everyone will be benefited. Thank you. Good night. Shubhratri.